Yes, when it, okay. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Andrzej Kramasz, but I think you know me all. I'm the curator of the exhibition. Usually I'm here, so you can always get me and ask me questions. So today I really would like to give voice to Pier Fichefeux, who is the artist, amazing artist. He does also sculptures. He does a lot of different type of work, video, and as you see, the work is great. So I think the voice is yours. Thank you. Pierre.
Thank you. So thanks everybody for coming. Let me know if you can't hear. I'm going to try to speak loud. So thanks to coming to see the exhibition. I'm going to talk a little bit first of the title, Wandering the Borderland. So actually the exhibition was Andre that just spoke, convinced me to put those paintings together that were rolled in my studio, some for 15 years, I would say, to put them together and put on the exhibition. So it was not a show that was produced for the show. It was more curated from, there is no pieces that were done specifically for this exhibition. It was more how to put together 15 years of painting in a room. And I was not convinced at first because I didn't paint so much. I used to paint full time, but since I moved to Hawaii, my practice has changed a lot towards land art or installation or sculpture, which is quite different from the painting area. But for me to put this exhibition together brought me back to what connects all my art practice, even though the outcome might seem really different. And so Wandering the Borderland was this idea of working without a purpose. Is kind of when you go, because I think that's what art or painting can do, or in my case that's what it does, is bringing me to some area where I would not have ended up purposefully. Well, it's more like by accident or being open to accidents, you end up in some area, and each painting is a different place. And so what put them together as a show is actually this desire in art or in my practice to enter spaces where I didn't choose to arrive, or find like something inside of me that I was not aware of, or things like this. So for this talk, I'm going to go through the exhibition, and I take question or things or your reaction in time. There's not going to be question at the end or something. So it's more like a walkthrough. And if you have some things, because I think all of you have seen the show before, if you have some questions, things that you're wondering, please interact so we can go. And I'm going to go a little bit as a chronology, to understand a little bit the vocabulary that's in the painting. So then you can decipher them for yourself if you can. So we're going to start from that backward there. So those two paintings actually are the oldest ones, the first one in the show. So it was 2006 when I just started to paint. So those were on bed sheets and with leftover paint that what I was living in Paris at my aunt's house, and she was retired, but she had a wood shop, like furnitures, or they were selling house paint and things and such. So I found a lot of cans of paint, and I had no idea of how to paint, what to paint, or things like this. So it's a mix of, actually there is some enamel, oil, acrylic. I did everything that was not supposed to be done, but it still works. And but more important is in those first paintings, I started to develop some type of vocabulary for myself. So I came from, at the time I was doing advertising work with really precise illustration or drawing on computer, but I'm actually really bad at drawing. By hand, it's like you won't believe how terrible I am. But the thing is, like, on the computer, I could get really well-made things, but I was never happy with the output, with the print, or it didn't look proper to me. So after trying different type of print and things like this, my friends told me, Pierre, you know, if you want to do what you have in your head, you have to paint it. And I'm like, wow, man, I'm really not that good with that. So anyway, I started it, and it came completely different, really raw, but I figured out that it brought really deep emotions, and it was really close to actually what I had inside of my head. And because at the time I was young, I was somehow in love with a girl which didn't like me, like many young men, and so this was the house of the truth. And she was leaving the house of the truth, and I was like eating my own liver. That's kind of, I was like, oh my God, why she doesn't love me, or things like that. And even though it's really personal thing, I think it's a universal also story. And for me, what's important is this character came, this house, which is also owl in this case, but a character, and you can enter, and then those kind of scale that were there, which I'm going to use, and you can see them in a lot of the painting later on. So in this configuration, they are like a platform, and actually you have, my grandmother was born in Vietnam and lived like a long time in Vietnam, so we had, when I grew up, we had this Buddha at home that was sitting on a lotus, and he had like 26 arms, like it was a beautiful Buddha. And so I remember those lotus that looks like scale for me. So those were kind of the base, but it's also a cloud. It's also a platform to fly. And it's also something precious. So those were the elements I started to do. Those scale as well, like scratching in the paint, using this kind of, in this case it's her hair, kind of like dreadlocks or something. But it also can be a plant or a root. So all my technique came from those first painting, the fact of scratching like this. And the theme as well. So also all the first painting had this kind of frame around it as something that's concealed, like a monastery. You know, inside of a monastery you have this path where the monks goes around in circle. I use this a lot in my paintings, in my thought process, as a sacred place. It's a place that's been sought and prayed, not prayed like a predator, prayed like a prayer, prayed upon, you know, kind of things here. So...
Did you have any contact with Native American cultures when you do this?
No, not at all.
You know, to me that looks like feathers.
Feather. Yeah, there is, yeah.
You know, the owls are so important, and so like
there is. He has a feather there, because the feathers they connect to the universe. They are light things, and I have this a lot. We can see. I'll show you in other painting where things are connected with. I call them satellites, but it's more like they are connected to different entities, or could be spiritual realm, it could be the ancestors, it's just connected to another dimension. And yeah, so they have the feather. This also is the seeds. So you have the seed often. The seed is precious. So you have the seed, especially in the house of truth, you need to have the seeds, you know. And you have the wings, which are also plants, or leaves, or branches. Mm-hmm. So those were yeah. No, please.
grapes. But on each side, does that represent?
Those things? No, those are leaves.
Leaves. Oh.
Yeah. They are leaves, but they also have like seeds inside of them. Oh. Yeah. And those are the birds. That they are kind of the witness to this drama. And you see here too, you have another of this house. So there is a platform and there is the house with the entrance. So yeah, and the scales again. So anyway, so this was just to show the beginning of this development. And then we can go to this one.
Here.
Yeah.
Is the very spontaneous.
Yes, really spontaneous. Like there is no plan. It's first like I don't know. I might have just colored something, see a shape, went, and then slowly you start seeing what's happening, and then you realize, oh wow, actually I got hurt by this girl much more than I thought, and oh I remember because those images came from the Virgin Maria. Like this image, my dad is a theologian, and he studied history, medieval history. And there is this figure of the Virgin Maria holding her cloak, her coat, and the whole village is inside of her dress, so she's protecting, so she's also like the house of all of them. And this somehow struck me as a kid strongly, and this figure keeps coming. So she's in this painting, in most of the mountains are actually a woman that can, like a feminine figure. So in this one is even more explicit because she's also stepping on the snake, which is, in the Bible there is this, I think it's in the Apocalypse or somewhere, where there is the fight, there is a dragon and then the lady, and she's defeating the snake, so the evil. So which is also, again, one figure I use, and this is same, she's on the scale. So now it got a little bit more sophisticated because this is like 4 years later from that painting. And here we start having UFOs also that come. So they are not like UFO per se with the X-File type of guy, but it's more like different entities, different realm or different reality that are celestial. And people we are visiting, we are like stardust or coming from a larger thing, and we are on this earth for now. And so you have those kind of satellites that are coming. And satellite could be also, when I was a kid, again, growing up. So I grew up in Christian commune. That was a little bit weird, but they were really spiritual or tricksters. They love those weird things. And so you have this, in the summer we would gather all of the members of this community for like a month or 2 months, and it was like a lot of people, like 6,000 to 10,000 people. So when you needed to meet somebody in this crowd, they say you have to call your guardian angel, and to tell that other people to call his guardian angel, so the two ones is going to make you meet. And I don't know how it works, but somehow as a kid I thought, oh, it works. Maybe it's just because, I don't know. So for me there was already this idea of communicating with some flying device up there that speak with each other, with the sun, with the moon, with, and the feathers and blah, blah. So those came from there. She's Our Lady, so she's, they are in her body, and this is kind of Jesus and his two buddies are going to end up there. And so they have to go, thieves, they have to go through the Japanese temple, the entrance, because she's Japanese. And so it's kind of mix of religion, because religion doesn't really matter to me which one is right. It's just the practice of spirituality is important, and the way how people create their origin or cosmology, like the fact that we need to make sense of cosmic events, of where do we come from, blah, blah, blah. But religion answers those questions for a lot of people. So in there, so they have to be really humble to enter such a small door, and then they enter in this safe place before they're gonna give up their lives. And also from her intimate part, I would say, she gave birth to the stars, because she's also a cosmic figure. She's the bearer of the universe. And she's also a tree with 3 branches, I guess. Yeah. And she has one eye, which is something also that I develop in other painting. The fact of the minotaur, or I don't know how you call it. Because humans see duality, but actually there is not such a thing as dialectic in nature. It's like things are, as a whole thing, it's one. In my head, at least. So that's it. Yeah.
Question. What is this?
This is some version of the yin and the yang.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. In my head, it's like the full and also gold is precious, and emptiness, and they are each one fertile, each other. So that was.
Yes. So this was something that just evolved over time. You didn't plan to do this way, or?
No, I mean most of the painting actually they have like 2 or 3 or 4 attempts in the back. So for example, this is from an earlier painting that was behind, that's left there, and I just throw paint and sing until it's like reading the clouds, until there is an encounter with what's going on in my life, or often it comes from like 2 colors confronting. For example, in there I really got excited by the pink, the green, and the yellow, and it was really, I get this excitement feeling, and I start build upon it, and then I had to calm it down with like dark color and these green things and frame it. And this is just because I didn't like that part of the painting. I thought it needs to be square, but I didn't want to cut it. So it's really trivial reason why you make such a choice in a painting, but overall there is a moment where you feel like it's right.
So the story comes to you later.
The story comes to me, much later, and often the story changes over the years when the painting don't, because I like painting to be really open, and most of the time when they are finished, I haven't understood them yet. I just know it's right, and then over the years, you're like, oh, or maybe another painting is going to give meaning to that one. It's more...
I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, it's more like system or place where I can project myself at a certain time. And so I tried few times, like I thought, I have this great idea, blah, blah. I'm going to make it. It never, ever worked because my idea are not good. It's the process of the painting brings much deeper things that are unfiltered, that are unthought, and which are much more true or powerful, I guess, than, yeah.
Or you making sculptures at the same time, respecting?
Yeah, I mean, I've always done sculpture, but at this time I was doing mechanical sculpture with a wiper motor, so like kind of automata, things like this. And
they reflected each other?
Yes, to some extent, yeah. They had like celestial elements, satellites, noise too, which I like sound. And they had like the one eye kind of thing. But in a different way, I like to use found objects or old, because I really like Karl Jung and his idea of collective inconscience. And for me, growing up in Europe with many generations of my family, we have great attics where you find like really old stuff, really dusty. And this is fantastic for an artist because you dig in your family past, but also in actually it's like a physical manifestation of the collective inconscience as objects. Mm-hmm. So the sculpture dealt more with this, which in a painting it's different, but it's the same too, except of not having found object, but found ideas or emotion, which are not only myself, but also of either my culture or, where did I come from? In this case was like the theology, but at the time I was really interested in Japan, so those things just merged together. So now we could move maybe to... So this one is a couple, so we are actually 2 years after the one we saw before. And in here, it's no more about the universe or things like this, because my situation has changed. And I was living in New York, and my wife was pregnant with my first baby. So this was the idea of the couple, and I thought of the couple as two inverted triangles. So the man is expanding. You see, it's like you want to expand the universe. You even have like rays of light or things coming out of his hands, and you can see his sex spreading seeds to the universe. But his feet are really weak, and he actually has a broken. He actually have a broken knee because I broke my knee at the time. And on the other hand, the lady, she's really grounded, and she's stepping in the water. That could be the snake that we saw on the other thing. And she's already have the stigmata of Jesus. So she's already wearing, like, he's losing water and blood, because as carrying him, she knows she has a premonition of what's going to be his condition, which is also at the end just death. So it could have nothing to do with the Christ, just the fact that she's giving life, and life contains death within itself, and which actually she has coming also from her breast. She has water and blood, because that's what we are fed with. We are fed with time, and time at the end leads to death. And so inside of her belly there is the snake, because I think in this idea she carries good. There is no separation of good and evil. She carries good and evil unified in this new life that's going to come. And there is one more thing about the reproductive organs. Actually, they are made with the Rorschach image that when you go to the psychologist, he show you those pictures, and they are made with a stain that's been folded both sides. So those things are made using the same technique. It's like one print of a folded page, because really often we see sexual connotation in there. So that was the beginning of this painting, just to link it to psychology. And yeah, in the middle also, I haven't talked about this character. So this is the baby. Is halfway between the two wombs. Yeah, that's the meeting point. Yeah.
Has like eye-looking eyes.
Yeah, this is because they are focused. They have direction. It's like a extra lens, teleobjectives. Because you see, for her the gravity is like this way, and his gravity is this way. So they are completely inverted. So therefore they balance each other. That was my approach. And because I remember we have this say of seeing the colors with the clay feet, right? Is it?
Golem.
How do you say?
Golem.
Golem? Yeah.
It was all clay, but I don't.
No, it's like this or the heel of Achilles, or this thing of like actually the weak point of man is his feet.
Yeah.
You know. And so that was my idea there. And because the man wants to dance and expand, he wants to jump to the stars, but he's not grounded. And the woman, she's really like this. And so on this one, which is same period, it's really made on the gesso, like there is barely no paint on it. And in there I even use like rubber bands, deep in painting, throwing at it just to make shape, you know, because it's really frightening for me to put a brush mark, actually, because I'm really bad. I don't have the technique, you know, I'm not in control. So I use every type of system to avoid making decision.
Yes.
And so yeah, this was just some type of trick to put some shapes to get started and feel like, okay, I start feeling this or seeing that. And so this was the couple that's key. It's hard to see, but I see it so clearly for me. It's a couple holding, and he's kind of flying also. He's holding her, and they have like 3 sets of hands, which are also birds, you know. So they are holding each other, and you have like 3 sets of eyes. One's looking at the future, and he's also kind of looking at the cross, knowing that at the end we'll die. And then the other one is looking at her, like at her mouth, because they are kissing. And another set of eyes is looking at the past and realizing that they are flying, that, you know, they are high. And they have like, you know, sets of hands everywhere. There is one, 2, here, another one, and then those, the 2 main ones. Another one here, actually. So this one is much more trivial. It was the beginning of Facebook.
Really?
For me, and to be honest, my first smartphone, I got it 5 years ago. So I'm really late in that thing. But when I was in New York and everybody was on Facebook and stuff, I realized like, wow, what's going on? So I made this painting of all those guys. So they are all naked because you're kind of naked on your social. That was my understanding of the thing at the time, and they're all connected with their phones. And then you have those moderators or censors that are there in between the group, so the algorithm will kind of put you with colors or things like this. But at the end, beside that, just the story, the fact that they are all connected with satellites, and then you have one guy that's off social media. He's just there, and actually he's not naked, he has his swimming suit on. And he's looking at the stars and the waves, and you know, like, so that might have been a premonition of moving to Hawaii. I don't know. This is called the good friend. So this change too, this is made with actually house paint. Because I couldn't find good acrylic. It's really hard. We just have like one store is Akamai on the corner side. And they have like small tubes. So I start moving to house paint and start painting with rollers, which is so different. So this is the roller, you know, like foam roller. So this is the top of the foam roller. And the rest is just the, you know. So it's really quickly done to some extent. But this was at the, after a few years of Trump being president for us, and where we had so much divide and thing, and I was really confused in my head, and thought we really need to, and also I became American actually last May, but I didn't know so much about the particularity of American history and its relationship to racism and civil war and such thing. So I was painting, and this big German face general kind of came, out of nowhere. I'm like, wow, why is Bismarck in my painting? Kind of. And then I thought about, okay, he's a general, so what do I do with him? And this other character came. I'm like, I want them to be friends. So in my head, the narrative was, okay, they are both retired general from the Civil War. They fought each other all their life. But after being retired, they realized that, at the end, what they want is like have a little drink together, hold hands, and, spend time talking stories. So yeah, that's why it's called the Good Friends. And so there is they came up with this new flag of kind of unity among them, and they are under the big pink trees, because this pink tree has a story for me. When I was in high school, I was taking art classes, and I didn't know anything about art much except medieval art or, great classic art. And my art teacher told us about Matisse and a pink tree. And he said, you see, you can paint a tree really extremely realistic and go close to the, at least visual truth, but it won't carry the smell. If you make like just the shape of a tree, you get the idea of the tree and make it pink, you're gonna get the scent of the tree. And I thought it really stayed up there in my head for a long time, like how we are we are post-realism, how I don't have to be attached to the truth, because else I'm kind of done as an artist because I won't be able to do it. But how you can be free with how colors carries smells, sounds, and things like this, and how shapes also. So that's why they were under this pink tree. And they are even carrying, there's the cowboy thing that they go like.
Did they touch the plates?
Yeah, they're like this, and holding hands and drinking absinthe or something. I don't know. Yeah.
We call that playing footsie.
Yeah.
It's a little interesting because the place that talked about I was inherited to man's is as if he's stepping on
that guy, yeah.
person's foot. So like maybe they're friends above the table, but I think
underneath, yeah, maybe that's true. And you have these white boots, it's like this.
So good.
Yeah. And he's actually much more, he's coming into the frame because this guy is actually comfortably installed. And he's kind of entering to him.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'll give it a few more years and then it's going to be a different story. So, yeah. This painting is also a little bit different than the rest, also in his execution, in the way it's done. But this was really special for me because that's my family. We are like 8 kids. We have a really large family. And it's called a tribu, so it's like the tribe. And we are living almost like a tribe because of this commune that we are living on. So we are moving houses all the time. Often we were homeschooled, so kind of outside of society a little bit, and considered by others like gypsies. They are like gypsy stuff. But this also gives a really strong bonding of the family. And so I thought of the family as one creature. So you have all these sets of legs and arms, but they are all one. And again, there is the good and evil, so you have the horns, but also the solar face, and he's bringing the lights into the darkness. So they are about to enter the forest. Yeah. Which I have also on the painting there, we can see on the way going, of somebody carrying the lights through the mountain or into the forest or into the darkness.
So if there's 8 children in your family, whose arms are missing? Because that's not 8.
I know, that doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There's something subconscious going on.
Yeah. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, there's 2 missing. Maybe mine and my sister. But my young sister passed away 10 years ago.
No, sorry.
So yeah. Yeah, but also they have more legs than they have arms. So yeah.
Maybe have buttons. Fun.
Because actually I remember something. When we were kids, we used to do going to the mountain. My dad used to make us, it's called a dao hunt. So we go hunt at night, these creatures that can walk only on one side of the mountain. And so the goal is if you frighten her and make her turn, she's going to fall down because her legs are shorter on the Mauka side. So it's like, And to do that, he would hide with my uncle under old blankets and run on the side of the hill. And as a kid, we will wake up like around midnight, and we have to go out, and they say, we've seen the beast, and we have to go and look for it. So maybe this came also from that, hiding under the blanket, kind of multi-leg creature, which can be also the Chinese dragon, they do.
There's matching legs and arms to be consider those legs pairs.
Yes.
Well, sure.
Yes, there is. It's a 6.
Something
6,
at the 6.
Yeah. There it is. All right, let's move toward there. Up. So that one is the most recent, actually, painting of the whole show. And this one is much more connected to Hawaii for me, of this journey of coming from France to the big island. But it's also a painting about the loss of innocence in a certain way, because you have, talking about vocabulary, you have the seed. So there is this lady, it's, the Jimi Hendrix song, Foxy Lady. So that's her. And she's carrying the seed, and here you have a champion, which is there, which is trying to defeat the snake for her, which is kind of this medieval theme of the l'amour courtois, it's called, anyway. And, but the snake is also carrying by this fantastic warrior creature, and is actually, this guy is not gonna defeat the snake with this small sword, but he's putting on a play for her, I guess. And then you have those ferns growing, and here all the volcano, so which for me is Mauna Loa. You have another snake down there. So this one I still don't know exactly what it means because it's too fresh, it's too young. But it's my journey to Hawaii. And as far as for those 2 characters, because this painting started with just that painting. I had this one, and then I'm like, this is not, it doesn't work. So I made this one, and then I made this one. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's going to be extended in the future, but I would like to see what's coming there, But it's not there yet. But so in here, again, we have like it's an evolution of all this vocabulary. So this is, 15 years after that painting, the first one we've seen. And I'm still in those type of vocabulary, like the theme hasn't changed that much from that time. You have also like, some type of seeds in there as well. And for me, as for those 2 characters, it was the loss of innocence in a certain way, or the finding of identity. Because if I think about it, for me to have gone as far, I think Hawaii, if I start living Hawaii either way, I'm going closer to home on each side. I'm as far as I can be from home in a certain way, but also I'm as somehow as close as myself as I can be, but also as far as I've went a long journey. And also in my life, I'm kind of in a way that now I'm going to start shrink a little bit and then be gone. So that painting was this, the expression of that for me. Yeah. So now any question, we can look at other paintings if people have some.
Peter, I have a question. One point when you were talking, you said that you paint also to understand yourself.
Oh yeah, most of it, yeah.
And also, I mean, I like the interaction. I had a feeling, we never talked about this, I had the feeling that as you painted the paintings paint you, sort of. But my question is, if when you paint, when you start thinking what is on the painting, does it bring back the memory of your past and kind of you start remembering more things that happens in your past? And I mean, but if you wouldn't paint, you wouldn't think about this stuff. Is it also the memory things or just the present visual thing?
Oh no, I think it's most of the thing happen in the head. It's like
yeah, but maybe I should be more precise. When I look at your painting and we talk actually about the paintings before that the recording, actually your stories make me thinking about I didn't remember so many things from my childhood. But when we talk, it just kind of opened it. Like, oh, you talk about the forest, and then start thinking about oh yeah, where was my forest, right? So that's why I'm kind of thinking this is the picture are from the past, or is just pure projection imagination?
I don't know. I mean, I would think my childhood have definitely shaped me, all the emotion, all the first time of every first emotion happened before 12 years old, I think, or even earlier than that. And in my head, I haven't really changed. I think I had a full consciousness of myself around 12, and I haven't changed my perception since then. I have changed circumstances, understand, and life get more complex, made different choice, but the inside of me is still the same. And so I think the core of all of this are these 12 first years. So yeah, and then the rest, yeah, of course, it's a mix of the encounter of my inside world and the possibility of painting, composition, colors, type of brush, things like this. But yeah.
Thanks.
May I see some parallels in talking about the creative process? When I talk to musicians or artists, and we start writing something, and then something comes into your head, and we hadn't planned for it's going to be.
Yeah.
But it sort of evolves, and then when you get to it, it's like, aha,
Yeah.
there it is. And the same thing for my friend who writes music, and he does something similar and starts out with something, then it evolves into something very different. So there's that kind of interplay that taps around creative process something.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree. I think it's something, you set something in motion, but you don't know. So again, it has to do with wandering. It's just you have to start walking, and you don't know where you'll end up, but you're sure not going to stay there. It's like often, yeah, in those things, as it has to deal with subconscious a lot, of course you cannot predict what's going to happen. You're just trying to open the box, pretty much, yeah.
I just really appreciate all of the iconography, because I think each of us have our own interpretations of their paintings, and then what they symbolize for us based on our own memories. Well, and I think that's kind of what maybe you were in some parents and so.
I like that, yeah.
Universal.
I see. I mean, then it means it works, because yeah, I like paintings to be open. That's why even me, if maybe in 3 months from now, when I look again at this one, I might have a completely different stories, because there is just, it's just more like a play, a stage or a play, and then you have some elements and you can make them play different roles.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
So can just move step further? And there's a question about dealing with the collective unconscious. So like when we're painting, do you ever feel like you're invited into places you just really aren't wanting to go? How to feel it now?
So tell me again.
Like, so in the collective unconscious,
Yeah.
are you ever invited into spaces that come up that you just don't want to go into? You know, like you're talking about, so you're like opening the
Yeah.
boxes.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's a lot of messiness in there, right?
Yeah, there is ugly stuff. Usually they get, if it's not overwhelming, they get covered. So there is often more things under the paintings. That's what's left at the end. And because there is always a little bit of, I mean, there is always death to some extent. Sometimes it's unacceptable, sometimes it is. And so I would keep a little piece of it, because it has a small part can have a really strong impact, but I would cover. But if I know it's there, it balances the rest somehow. It's a lot of like weird rules I set in my head to have a way to navigate these things, you know?
Yeah, that's what I wondered,
Yeah.
like how you, that openness, like how you navigate it.
Yeah. I navigate with like a OCD kind of rule, you know, like, okay, I need to make a circle around, you know, and it makes me feel secure, even though after, if I balance it with masses, I feel, okay, now I can remove that one, so I would paint over. But it needed to be there to have a safe space for a moment, or things like this. So yeah, there is a lot of, let's say, magical thinking, even though I don't like that word so much. But it's more like, yeah, just tricks to trick myself into also accepting something that's completely visually ugly, like a color that's really shout at you like no. But it's like this until you find the right one to have a dialogue with, you know. So yeah, you have to. I use a lot of tricks to keep things a little bit balanced or grounded, so it doesn't go out of control, or I might just lose it completely, which would be a shame, because I think everything that comes out is legitimate, you know, or it, you know. Yeah.
It really reminds me of traveling when you're in the foreign place that you've never been. It's kind of you are very aware and kind of you want to protect yourself and you build some, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. When you start being in the place and knowing the place, like you release those boundaries that you built for yourself and then expand to the knowledge or whatever it is or experience. Well, it's interesting.
For now.
No more.
Any more questions?
I'm curious about this green man.
This green man, yeah, me too.
What's happening there?
Yeah, me too. I'm curious about those two guys. They are important, and they are coming from the volcano. But I don't know who they are, what their purpose is yet.
That's
But he's a good guy.
good.
Yeah.
He looks like a good guy.
Yeah. He's a triangle.
The green person's a good guy,
Yeah.
or the person behind? The green face, that's a good guy.
I think both of them. I think they are like a schoolmate or something.
They-
But I'm not sure. And the big guy behind is important. He's an important guy because he has the mants like this with ornaments and stuff. Yes, and a halo too. Yeah.
And what about the snake has evolved into this rainbow colors towards the tail of it?
Yeah. Because he sees him as a snake and she sees him as friendly character. Yeah.
She got that message.
As far as I understand. This one is dans l'ombre de sa main, which means within the shadow of his hand. This is same time as those white painting I was talking about when I had to go to Mexico to renew my visa. So then I was exposed to Mexican art, and I saw those mummies that they have, and I remember that their eyes were so it's like a fabric that's covered the body, and the eyes were stitched, and it really struck me, and so I came up with this kind of character, which have actually one eye in his ear, is connected to the universe, but it's kind of foreign to this environment because this one is the 4 pillars of the temple, which is actually 5, but they're supposed to be 4. I don't know why. And it's the passage from life to death. So you have to pass this little pass in the middle of a stormy water and enter the next life. In the same time, you have this big comet or this planet that's going to crash into the Earth. So it's going to be the end. That's the collapse and the end of the world. But it's carried by this great end, and the shadow of the end actually is going to bring him, because the shadow is the world, is the world after life is the world of shadows. So he was the carrier of this. That's why he's almost like attached to the end and as a character. And then you have these 3 birds, which were like the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, that were there to help during the transition. Yeah. And the 2 hands, which are my hands.
The colors.
And the colors is just, it's same as blood and water that I have in a lot of the painting. So, because those are the 2.
Interesting, somebody came and looking at the painting, he said that they actually asked about your heritage because they feel like it's so Native American, this painting. And you mentioned, I didn't know the story with Mexico about this, I knew like 100, but not this one. So it is really interesting. It was so visible in that. Yeah.
And this I forgot what they were, but they had a purpose. It just
Coffee beans.
Coffee beans, yeah. Coffee beans makes the best coffee in the world. That's a song of Moondog.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's the best lyrics ever. So yeah, so that's it.